Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the morning coffee. Today is Tuesday, the 2nd of September. And to all of my Canadian and American viewers, hope you had a fantastic Labor Day long weekend. I want to start this new series of kind of morning catch up videos and, looking at what's going on in the news in this absolute upside down Stranger Things world we're living in. And everything seems to be as it was last week. Nothing seems to be making any sense. Things do seem to be getting a little bit worse. Watching videos today of British patriots being arrested all over the UK for unfurling the British flag, the Union flag, and the St. George's Cross outside their homes, or posting flags on Facebook. Ironically, by police who have the Union Jack on their vests. Very strange. In Canada, nothing really new except Mark Carney is announcing a new major project office. Now, this is really what I wanted to talk about today. Mark Carney, the tariffs, and what his government has done thus far. I think he's been in power now for 170 days, give or take. And from what I can see, he has done absolutely nothing. Nothing has changed. There's been no advancement. There's been no fulfillment of the campaign promises. He's completely capitulated now to the tariffs. Apparently, he has removed all remaining US tariffs within the existing trade agreement. And but yet Canada seems to be becoming more and more impacted, and there's really been no firm government response or action to mitigate against the effects. The latest from the US is that they've removed the $800 duty-free exemption. So if an American buys products from a small Canadian business, as long as the sale is less than $800 or the value of goods is less than $800, there's no taxes on that. That's excuse me, that's been removed. And the government's response is that small businesses need to find new markets, they need to diversify. I'll tell you what would be a great thing is if the government here was to start eliminating restrictions that already exist. The regulatory frameworks within Canada are just brutal for trying to start business. So, for those of you who don't know, there's a federal and provincial governments in Canada, and each one is responsible for various portfolios. So, for example, tobacco falls under provincial jurisdiction. So I'm prohibited from purchasing cigars, say in the province of Alberta, and having them shipped to my address in Ontario. Because of the interprovincial barriers that are in place. I can, however, buy a semi-automatic rifle in Alberta and have it shipped to my address in Ontario because firearms come under federal jurisdiction. So there's all of these levels of bureaucracy, of trade barriers that are stopping this, even stopping tradesmen, craftsmen in designated trades working in other provinces. If Carney wants to do anything, instead of this empty talk about finding new markets, diversifying, let's start eliminating the existing regulatory frameworks and impediments to business and trade within Canada. Starting at the very top, all of these net zero guidelines, rules, regulations, for example. Let's start getting rid of those. Let's start building the pipelines. So his new major project office is just more talk, more examination, more exploration, studies to see what projects the government should be working on. All it's doing is creating another federal bureaucracy that will end up costing taxpayers billions and billions of dollars on top of what we're already spending. Carney's been going around the world with the begging bowl out, trying to find new markets. The market already exists here. We have incredible resources. We have the potential of exporting, but there's got to be the political will. There's got to be the political will to say that's it. We're removing all restrictions. We're removing And I'm not saying just willy-nilly start digging holes in the ground and start pulling out minerals. The studies have been done. We know where these resources are. We know where the markets are. Let's start getting to market, bringing to market what people overseas want. It's there. There just has to exist the political will to do this, which doesn't exist under the Liberal government. So he's going to study this some more. Meanwhile, nothing has happened. We'll just continue as is. Healthcare declining, poverty, food banks, education system crumbling, and just act like everything's great. He's flying around the world, going for high-profile meetings, coming back absolutely empty-handed. A completely unfit for purpose prime minister, if ever I've seen one. What's interesting, though, is in the UK, Keir Starmer has announced something of a cabinet shuffle, and he has appointed Minouche Shafik as his new chief economic advisor. If I'm anybody in the UK who is paying taxes, owns property, is considering leaving, these are not great times. The new tax recommendations Minouche Shafik is making are absolutely horrifying. Absolutely horrifying. A lot of the subsidies to farmers are being removed. Capital gains tax on the sale of your primary residence is increasing. If you sell a second property, I think the capital gains tax is looking to go up to 53%. There's an exit tax, higher exit tax if you are leaving the UK. Just a horrifying series of tax increases hitting the UK. The connection here with Canada is that Minouche Shafik used to work for Mark Carney in the Bank of England while Mark Carney was the governor of the Bank of England. And if anybody hasn't really noticed, what happens in the UK tends to follow suit very quickly here in Canada. I would not be surprised if the idea that there's a housing crisis, there's a poverty crisis, a cost of living crisis, is because we're not paying enough taxes. And the way to get out of this is by paying even more taxes. So I want to watch this very closely. If they're starting it there by one of Mark Carney's protégés in the UK, how long will it be before these things start happening here in Canada as well? There's no shortage of money. There's absolutely no shortage of money. We're still giving billions and promises of billions of dollars in aid and support to the Ukraine, and now the suggestion that Canadian troops be deployed to the Ukraine should there be a ceasefire. Just a prime minister who's making lots and lots of empty promises. There's no clear plan. I don't even think his government's tabled a budget yet, and no clear plan on how we move forward, how we get out of the situation we're in. When I reference things like healthcare, we had a bit of an accident here at home last week. I had a deck board I had to replace, and we were actually packing to leave to go camping overnight. So we're in a bit of a hurry. So I said to the lovely Lisa, I say, watch this deck board. I need to replace it when we get back. Anyhow, she's rushing out to show me something. She steps on the deck board and she goes straight through it. Luckily the ground underneath was only about a foot away, but she fell forward. That her leg was really badly scraped, and we were concerned she broke her leg. So rushed her to the A&E, and we sat there. She had x-rays pretty much an hour after we arrived, and a great nurse, triage nurse, actually from Rotherham, made her way here to Canada, but she got us in for x-rays very quickly. We then sat in A&E for 16 hours. When you're sitting in A&E for 16 hours, I think we can abandon the idea that we have a functioning healthcare system. A friend of mine came to see me last weekend from Montreal, and he said, 9 hours is considered extreme in Montreal, but I think 9 hours in A&E is just horrendous. In the hospital we did go to, there was apparently only one doctor covering the entire A&E department, and anytime an ambulance came, that's where the doctor had to attend. So ambulance after ambulance was showing up. So anybody who was waiting in A&E had to wait even longer. And I would say if there were 50 people there, 45 left after about 10 hours. When people go to A&E, it's, you know, you like to believe. I mean, there's the usual frequent flyers who go there because, you know, their thumb is sore or something like that. But, you know, when people are going to A&E, generally they're concerned about something and that they have to leave without being seen. I was telling this story to a neighbor of mine, and he said, yeah, but you know what? I'd hate to live in the States and have to pay for it. I'm like, what are you talking about? We are paying for it. Look at the taxes we're paying. We're paying one of the highest levels of taxes in the world at different levels. I mean, and yet we don't have a healthcare system. Forget trying to see a GP. I don't have a GP. You'll go on a 2 or 3 year waiting list to get one. And even if you do have one and you make an appointment, you're looking at 6 months down the road. I've got a more horrifying story to tell about the healthcare system, and that's a deeper, a little bit of a deeper story. So I'll get into that on a future video. But so everything seems to be the same here. Carney's running around the world acting like everything's great, not answering any questions. There's been absolutely no movement on anything. Meanwhile, things are still spiraling. And it looks like back home, things are just getting even more insane. I don't know how far Starmer is going to push people. You know, we've seen what happened in Epping, how the courts now have become completely politicized. And there's not even any attempt at hiding it now. When the judges hearing the Epping Council's case are so obviously politically aligned to the Labour government, there's no hope for an open and fair judiciary in the UK. Time is right, man. Time is right for an absolute change, a massive, a seismic shift in government now. I like to hope that Nigel Farage can do something. He's got the most momentum right now, but I'm seeing a lot in what he's saying. It isn't filling me with a huge amount of confidence. I like to believe that he can do this, he can deliver, but now we're getting, you know, like Ben Habib and Advance UK, I think, are really picking up the slack, and they're saying what people want to hear. So, and here in Canada, we're stuck. You know, Carney's still got his majority government. The Conservatives, we're gonna have to wait another 3.5 years before we go back for a general election. Tuesday the 2nd of September, all is well in the world. Nothing has really changed. I am enjoying my morning coffee. I'm doing this video a little bit later than I normally would. Enjoying my coffee in my favorite mug. This is, anybody knows it? Manz's Pine Mash Shop on the Tower Bridge Road. World's best restaurant. Anyway, guys, hope you have a great day today. If you haven't already, truly appreciate you subscribing to the channel, giving this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and sharing it with your friends. And until the next video, try and stay sane, try and stay happy, healthy, be good to yourselves, and I'll see you on the next one.